you have the ability to draw people in just based off of your energy. So I want to commend you for what you do. I think it's an honor to be sitting with you right now.
Awesome. Forgot about that intro part there. Jaclyn, how you doing? Thanks for coming on.
Thank you so much, Adam. And hi. How you doing?
Nice. I am doing well. It's 8:04. It's 4 past. Sorry, I can't speak right now because it's like really early in the morning for me to get up at this time. Normally, I like to sleep in on my days off. No, it's all good. It's like around about 8 a.m. here now. It's getting colder now as well. Almost winter time here. So you guys in summer now, yeah?
We're going into summer, yeah. But right now it's my favorite kind of weather. It's overcast, dreary. It doesn't get too warm. It's my ideal temperature for summer. But my ideal temperature is like more like fall. Kind of theme with being a horror girly, I guess.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I prefer summertime here than winter anytime. But I watched the short film. Are You There? I watched it like maybe twice. I watched it with the second time I watched it was with a guy that I work with because he's like into horror as well. And yeah, he loved it as well. But before we dive in all that, great movie by the way. I was doing some research on you because I know nothing about you, and you have really good, quite a really nice history in how you got into the entertainment business, to being an actress as well. So you were born in Canada, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm from Toronto.
Yeah. Ah, nice. So when did you move to LA?
In 2013. So in October of 2013, I got here. Yeah. And it's been a journey, definitely. So I left everything behind. Came here on my own. And yeah.
Yeah. So did you actually started your career in Canada, or did you move out of there to move to LA to start it?
No, I was working in Canada as well. It's just it's really complicated because I don't want to say this I have to say this with the caveat of a lot of respect, appreciation, and understanding. The markets are very different. So, a market like LA obviously is much more saturated with a lot of talent, a lot of people, but with that, as Spider-Man would say, comes great responsibility. So there's a lot of opportunity available in a place like this versus Canada, where a lot of it is contingent upon tax incentives and credits that are given to areas where they're allowed to do filming and brought in. The common thing that you'll see happen, and this does happen in other countries as well, but specifically with Canada neighboring the US, is that you'll see a lot of the lead roles are cast, and predominant ensembles are cast out of a place like New York or LA or Atlanta, and then they fly them to location like Vancouver, Toronto, Montreal, Alberta, depends on where they're filming. And the people who are hired are usually co-star or like supporting that you basically hit like a limit to what you're allowed to range in. And I don't like being told that I have a limit. So I would like to see what would happen if I go for it all. And so, you know, I went with the intention of being able to work in multiple countries, but specifically going back and forth between Canada and the US. It has nothing to do with the talent in Canada, just as it has nothing to do with the talent that exists within Australia, Ireland, Japan, Korea, any of that. There are so many places with exceptionally talented people. And it has nothing to do, it's not contingent upon the ability of the creators. It's more to do with, you know, there's what the industry is kind of predicated on, which is a lot of things are kind of established in this country and then they go elsewhere. So yeah.
It's sort of like a roll of the dice, right? It's like, you know, it's like a big risk to take as well. I actually know someone, but in the music industry, he sort of did the same thing. I had him on this podcast, but like how he got his name well known in America was his band, because he's from Sydney. His band was supposed to support a band called Faster Pussycat, but his band couldn't make it to the States, and he gave up everything. He sold his, you know, he actually sold his sold his house to, you know, trying to make it big in the States, but his band couldn't make it. So what he done, he put himself out there, He just handed out flyers, he handed out everything. And then people kind of just hit him up as like a session guitarist to play at small gigs, and now he's just a big name in the US now. It's crazy.
That's incredible. I mean, look, session musicians are incredibly talented. I mean, look at Steely Dan as a band. Like they're completely comprised of session musicians, and like I love Steely Dan. But I'm a huge music nerd, so
yeah, same.
But you know, it takes I'm not touting about myself, but it does take a lot of the more I hear other people's stories of transplant, you know, like transplants and their stories of coming to the US or coming to LA, or whether they're musicians, whether they're artists of any form, the common theme is, you know, everybody has the story, you know, like a story where, you know, they ride this high, like they have this thing in their mind where they're like, okay, well, I can do this thing, I'll achieve this thing. And the sheer amount of like obstacles that come up, you know, that you encounter along the way. And that's okay. It wasn't when it was really hard, but you learn to ride the wave, right? Like, you can't fight the current. So that sounds very like, makes me sound very LA, but you can't fight that. That's counter to everything that you have to do in life. And, you know, one of the things that I think it does, at least I can only speak for myself, but one of the things that it did for me was it gave me a lot of perspective and balance in that it's not that I didn't have a lot of life experience, because I definitely had prior to coming here, but it definitely gives you kind of almost solace in knowing that as you ride this wave, you're collectively doing things. Sometimes you're the one in the down and out, and another person's riding high, but then that shifts eventually. And there's comfort in that. There's also comfort in being able to say, well, if I can handle this, then what else can I take on?
Yeah.
You know, I think it creates more fire and passion.
Yeah. And, you know, you don't always succeed overnight. You know, you're always going to fail, and you learn from all that, from, you know, from your failures and your mistakes, and I'm sure like you've learned that over the years as well to get where you're at now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah. So how did you get into the entertainment industry? Like, how did you get into all that stuff?
Well, so it's quite complicated and not. So I'll do my best to make it brief for you. But
Yes.
I was the kid, if you couldn't tell by looking at me. I was the little kid that used to sing songs all the time, and I loved music. I was just enamored with it. I would sit in my room and I would learn like music over and over and over again until I like nailed it. I was obsessed. I initially, I was like, man, I want to do what the fuck those guys are doing. And yes, I swear a lot. Sorry.
That's all good.
I want to do what they're doing. I want to get up on a stage and I want to sing my dumb little heart out, and I want to wear cute little goddamn costumes, and I want to do all of this stuff, and then have people be like, oh my God, it's the next whatever, like whether it's a Mariah Carey or Whitney Houston. I was like, I'm going to diva the shit out of this world in music. And for the record, I love all genres of music. It's not limited to like pop, but just from a singing perspective, I've always gravitated towards R&B and stuff. And so I was like, man, I would kill to do this. And I was told very young, and by no fault of anybody's, because I've dealt with this, that I would fail. And so I had it supplanted in my mind that I would be a person who would fail at something creative. And so I had an incredible amount of stage fright around singing. I would go beet red in my face. I'd get really quiet and get really mousy, and I wouldn't want to sing. But if you put me in a choir or you put me in groups and things like that, like I would sing. But I just loved it. And at the same time, I would watch horror movies, film, like a comedy, everything under the sun. Like I was raised on it, and I would eat it up, and I was obsessed with it. And part of my retreat from and escape from things was imagination play, as most children have, but then also like comedy for coping. Because let's face it, I'm a nerd.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Nah, now there's not. But at the time, I was bullied quite heavily as a child, and so I always felt like I wanted to fit in and be cool, but I didn't. So on top of all of that, I was like, well, I'll lose myself in things that make it easier for me to relate to people. Like comedy is such a way of relating to another person. So like I would like watch a lot of comedies and like try to be playful and be jokey and silly as a deflection tool because it's easy, when you're in here. And so anyway, fast forward, my family's like, be a real person, get a real job. And I'm like, okay. So I go to real school and I hate it. And I enjoy aspects of it, but I don't feel like centered. I don't feel like there's something there that gives me purpose. And I realize I'm really depressed. And I was incidentally dating this guy who was a musician. And oh God, so funny. Anyway, he was like, you should think about doing some like improv or comedy stuff because, like you're really funny. And I'm like, yeah, but people always say people are funny. And then they tell them that they should do stand-up and stuff. It's like a weird thing. And it's like odd, but sure. Yeah. So I was like, yeah, maybe. And he was like, no, you should do it. Because I had done musical theater and I was doing this stuff and I still just didn't feel centered. So I started doing improv and I went, oh, fuck. Well, if I can do this, then what else can I do? And it was like the analogy that I like to use, or the storyline, is like the little engine that could, that I think I can. Because my grandparents always used to say, you can do anything or you can be anything if you try. That's one message that they really like drilled into me as a child. And I was like, man, what a gift of a lesson. And so I kind of took that idea and I ran with it and just didn't stop. And I realized, as much as I love music, you know, that wasn't a thing, like, you know, in the same way that acting is for me. Like, it's not that they don't both equally matter to me. Music is so important in my life. It's more that I guess I just felt like I didn't struggle with the same hang-ups and hesitance that you do with music as I did with with acting as I did with music. It doesn't mean I don't have all of the obstacles that you do as an artist. It just means that it felt like it just came naturally. And then I just followed that flow.
Yeah. That's awesome. Because, like, obviously, when you were saying that you were a music nerd, and then that's how you got into musical as well.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So you went from doing musical theaters to being an actress. So how did that come along for going into the musical theater experience into acting to being an actress?
Well, again, like, music in general was something that I was very passionate about. And so, like, I understand that the concept of musical theater can sometimes feel very, like, either melodramatic or very, like, comedic, you know?
Yeah.
It's one of those two kinds of camps. So if you see something like Hairspray, for example, it's like fucking over the top, fun, like larger than life. But then if you see something like Rent as a musical, that's very melodramatic and very somber by comparison, right? But people see musical theater in that way sometimes. And I guess for me, again, I came back to the relating to people through comedy. So comedy was like the first thing that I fell into. Truly. But it's not a deep well of desire to relate to people on a very authentic and vulnerable level from a dramatic standpoint. Which it was something I was scared of. Because I was like, what if I do this and they think I suck shit? What if they tell me that I suck? Oh, it's the worst. Nobody wants to feel that. But then you find out that it's like, no, people just want to relate, you know? Like, that's the truth. So, I mean, that's kind of what led me in that direction initially. And again, comedy is like a natural initial place that I landed, and I love it very much.
That's awesome. Yeah. So from there, you did a short film that I watched the other day, which I really loved. Are you there? How did that come around? And this is something that I actually didn't know about. I saw like a clip on Instagram. So you directed, written the script, and you also acted in it too, correct? That's awesome.
I did it all. Yeah.
How did you get all that done? Like, was like a budget thing that you didn't want to get someone else to play that role or anything like that, or you just couldn't find anyone?
it's not about finding people. The answer to the first question is yes, budget is a part of that. The second caveat of that, though, is it's not the first time I've written stuff. I actually have written other things. I've written comedy. When again, coming from the background that I come from, which is theater, not just musical theater, but theater in general. I've stage managed, I've produced, I've written sketches, I've written short like scenes and done things like that for stage. I've done things for for filming. Like I've written pieces. I've put everything together and produced them. I've produced other people's shows in terms of stage and theater and stuff. So I have a background with different facets, which is kind of what happens. Even like musicians, it's not like they're limited. Oh, I only do bass, right? Like they usually have the crossover of all of these other experiences. So I had that. Now directing, that was my first time, but I watched a lot of film and television. I'm again like so in love with the industry in that capacity. I love the work that other people do. I love the magic behind it. And so, I've always wanted to try directing in that respect. So when I wrote this, I wrote it with the intention of giving myself a vehicle because I've always wanted to do horror and, like I said, more dramatic work, but specifically horror, because I'm obsessed with it. I always have been. I think it's almost like a gene that we're born with if we love horror as much as people like you and I do. Like it's something that we just naturally gravitate towards. No holds barred. And so I created it with the intention of being in it and wanted to direct it. Wanted to play around with that, do the scene shots and like create all of that environment and that mood. I had an incredible makeup artist who was a part of that process. She and I did work together to do some of the art design for the set and everything, and like conceptually like what this demon character would look like and things like that. I had kind of already like created that in my brain and then came to her and said, how do we execute this? And then she and I just ran with it. We just played around until we got there. And then obviously shooting it, I don't have I do photography as a hobby. It's something I enjoy, but I certainly there is no part of me. I bow down to people who do directing of photography and cinematography. It is an incredibly hard job. It is not something I know how to do. So I did not do that, nor did I do the editing. It's much too complicated. But everything else within the project, all the voice work, all the creature sounds, with the exception of like one growl and like the music scoring, that's all my voice. So that's all I did. And then all the characters. Yeah, all the characters that you see as well. So the 3 characters that are in the movie. So the main person, her friend Becca, and then the creature. Those are all me as well.
No way. I didn't pick that out, to be honest.
Yeah. So I did everything. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Thank you.
Wow. Well, you learn something new from this now, because like that's something that I actually didn't know, apart from obviously you writing the script, directing it, and then being like the lead actress and everything like that. No, that is really awesome. And the way how it was shot too was amazing. It kind of reminded me a little bit like Evil Dead meets Cabin Fever.
Oh, cool. Yeah. I think
which is two of my favorite films.
Oh, really? Oh,
Yeah.
Cabin Fever is so good.
We
In the
can
Evil
dive
Dead.
into that later on.
Oh,
Let
yeah,
me see
yeah,
what
yeah.
time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
of course. Yeah, I think I had it in mind, like some of the inspirations of things that I go for are things like The Witch,
Yeah.
which is a fantastic film. Babadook, you know,
Oh, yes.
like like what a journey she goes through, and like what a story, like especially when you find out what Babadook is about after the fact, like what message they were trying to send to, like when you watch it again you're like, oh my god, like it's like heart-wrenching. It's hard not to watch that movie and not feel like pain for her as a woman,
Yeah.
after the fact. But things like that. Some people have also referenced The Exorcist because they feel like there's a
Yeah.
level of possession to it. Um, and I think I was really like coming from the perspective of like witchcraft, somebody toying with something that they don't really know a lot about. And
Yeah.
there wasn't a lot of exposition there to explain that. Had there been, I'm sure that would make more sense thematically through the film. But yeah, that's kind of what I was going for. And so just mood wise too, like that kind of somber, lived in experience where you're like in the space. Um, I really like things that I like psychological. I love gore
Yeah.
and stuff like that, but psychological things that toy with your mind after the fact, that leave you
Yeah.
wondering or thinking about it later. I like I like that
Yeah.
because it takes a lot to actually scare me, being that I've watched so much horror. It's very difficult to scare me. So the things that I find that really sit with me and leave me with that like sickening or unsteady feeling typically are things that are like psychologically like unnerving, or things that might be rooted in a real story, things that you like that are very sensory. So like, like a lot of sound, a lot of like visual, and a lot of like just things that they don't you don't leave a situation feeling better.
Yeah.
Like you go, oh, that could actually happen. Not suggesting that of my film, but like, when you watch things that are in a docu style and they might be like about a serial killer or a small killing in a town. Blair Witch is a great example of that. Like, where like initially when they did that contextually as a film, they didn't they didn't want to release a lot of information. They wanted it to be a found footage. They wanted it to leave people feeling uncomfortable, like this actually happened. This may have occurred in a real place, and making people go like, "Do I need to be worried about this? Like,
Yeah.
is this something that's like, do we need to do an investigation about that?" I like that. I want people to be uncomfortable in that way because
Yeah.
that to me is again real. It's more relatable.
Yeah. That is true. That is true. Yeah. Um so like obviously this one's your first movie that you directed. So what have you learned from doing that? Like what some of the things that you've learned on the way from being a
Uh,
first time director?
well, the big takeaway from doing this project was, don't eat all the cookies.
That's a good advice. I like that.
Because when you do everything at once,
Mm.
um, and for the record, this was not shot over several days. This was shot within 20, like we did inserts and B-roll on the Friday.
Yeah.
All of the principal shooting was done in one day, and it was a 16-hour day with no breaks from me. And I had to
Oh
do all
wow.
this. So I had to be a script supervisor to keep us on target. which was not on target. I had to be production, you know, and keep everybody happy and keep everything safe and clean and clear and under control, as they say. I had to do shot setup and shot list and make sure that we had all of the coverage, even though we were missing coverage. I had to frame, and I had to make sure that everything seemed like it was going in the right direction and that I was directing this the way I wanted it to. Plus, then I also had to act each role. So it's not just one role, all 3 roles. And then on top of that, you know, like you typically on set, you roll with the punches. But from a writing perspective, you do the best usually to honor the script, right? Like it's like a Bible. So you want to honor that as much as you can. And it's difficult to play with all of those pieces within one person. It's like having multiple personalities, like, because they all come from different parts of your brain. You're not, you know, one of them's creative in this like very tactile and kinesthetic way. Another one is very analytical and very heady, you know, and then one of them is more auditory. It's like and visual, and like you're splitting yourself. So when I use the cookie analogy, it's like, it's okay to have a cookie. We all love to have treats, but like maybe do it in like moderation. And also getting it done within like the time frame or the hours or whichever that you think that it may work. Obviously knowing that like usually with production there are setbacks and slowdowns and hiccups if things are going on. Creating an environment that makes it conducive to being as on time or as like regulated within that process as possible, and giving yourself time, because there are so many things. I'm not going to say I don't want to sit here and like knock it down, because it fills me with joy to know that other people enjoy this. It gives so much, like you have no idea how good it feels to know that it resonates with other people, because to be honest with you, I initially did it and immediately had that sense of I'm a failure. Failed at the thing that I wanted to do. And so I want to set myself up for success in terms of like the work that I do, and like having met other people through the film festivals so far. My goal is to like work with them and high five each other on the work that we collaborate on, you know? So that's the other takeaway.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, that leads to my next question. Film festivals. What was that experience like?
So I've been accepted. I've done 4 of them so far. I'm going into my 5th one. I was accepted into Seattle WorldCon, which is a convention, more so than a festival for the films. However, there's a film aspect to WorldCon, which is really cool. The first one that I was accepted into was the Toronto Indie Horror Film Festival. And I played in a women in film block, and I found out that it was sold out. And I was like,
oh, wow.
This is really cool and kind of like overwhelming, and like, that's exciting. I didn't really hear a lot back about it, but I was just grateful to be a part of the festival, you know, and to be involved. The second one was Milwaukee Con, like the horror con. And some of the folks who were a part of that also, I guess, were a part of Chicago. And I was like, oh, dang, this is a really cool place that I'd like to go. I don't think I can make it there, however. at the time. But I like the idea of going to a convention like that because I think it would be really like fun. And I heard nice things from a few folks. The third one was something here in LA. I ended up getting a runner-up Gore Award for it, which I didn't get told about. It was posted. So
yeah, right. How did they not tell you?
It was just on the website, and I didn't.
Yeah, right.
And they didn't do screenings or anything. So I was like, oh crap! Like again, I'm not going to get to meet people. So when Chicago came around, they were like, you know, like you're accepted into the film festival. Like, here's where it's at, and I'm like, fucking going. I'm going to Chicago. I'm gonna have a good time. I'm gonna meet some folks. It's a really big horror film festival. It took place at the Logan Theater, which is this gorgeous, like old actual theater venue. It's not like an AMC, which it would be cool to go to a place like that one day as a premiere. But like, this is like that like, again, lived in, like you sit back in those comfortable seats. You don't, when you buy your tickets, you don't get assigned seating. It's like you show up hopefully at the beginning of the line, you get your popcorn and you get your like treats and you sit down at that actual marquee movie theater. Like it's great. I love that kind of stuff. So, and then just meeting everybody that was a part of the festival. I had connected with other people who were whose films were accepted, and we were joking between like each other on Instagram and everything, and like chatting a bit. And it turned out that a lot of the folks that I ended up meeting were people who ended up being nominated as well for awards.
Oh, nice.
And so I was like, oh crap, like we've been joking this whole time and you are all like really cool, fun people and you're super talented. So, you know, like I would go and see the films on the Friday, like when I flew in to try to see the folks that I had been meeting online. And then Saturday, I tried to spend as much time at the festival as possible. Same thing, but also like chatting with the people who ran the festival. And Sunday award ceremony, my film was playing later after a lot of people were leaving, and I was panicked that people wouldn't see it. But the reception was like, I would say like half full theater. And that to me, I was like, that's solid. Like, I'll take that. That's a really solid audience.
Especially for your first movie as well.
Right. And I got to do a Q&A, which was great. Also, so I'll say this in this order. I was nominated for 2 awards, which was just like, again, I was floored to be included in a category. It made me very grateful. Again, considering where I started on the journey of creating the film to where I'm at now, it's like, again, the little engine that could, like giving you that faith, that hope for something as a goal. And so just to be considered is really great. And then to be in the company of the people that I was exceptional. And then on top of that, to be around and to have the honor of getting to know the people who were running the festival. I'm talking like the people who were handing out the badges, to the people who were setting up the, you know, the red carpet, the people who were serving drinks at the bar, behind, the people who were running and sitting, you know, waiting for people to come into those theater areas and handling ticketing. Every single person was exceptional. The festival directors and the people running it were so professional and cool, fun, inclusive. It couldn't have been a better group of people. And it was one of the most wicked experiences you could have going to a festival, in my opinion. So, yeah.
That's awesome. Nah, congrats on that, man. That's fucking, that's stoic as shit. Have you like met anyone like well known there in the film festival? Like, are there like any like well known like horror like directors or whoever like that attend to these like film festivals or anything like that?
So the conventions will have some of the folks from horror films and stuff. So I was actually invited back to Milwaukee. They asked me to come back and said, like, we just want to party with you. And I'm like, okay. If
How can you
even.
not? Right.
um, and this is coming from somebody who doesn't drink. Like I am. This is
Yeah,
the
I'm a
person.
non-drinker as well.
Yeah. Like this is the girl who doesn't like, this is just who I am. I am who I am, and like that's it. But like I just, I like to I think I'm like a cheerleader for most people. Meaning that like I'll stand behind you and like I'm number one rallier for everybody because like the world's too small and too short of a life to not be that way. So I think we just got on so well that it just felt natural for me to be like, yeah, come and party. And I'm like, okay. You guys might be drinking, but I'll just be like, yeah, you do that.
Yeah, I'll be there for the support.
Yeah. But from what I understand, there's more of the folks, like some of the well-known folks would be in those places. So I'm looking forward to seeing what comes. Again, Seattle has me in, which is just like so rad. I'm so excited about that.
Yeah.
Like that's in August, so we'll see what comes. I So to answer your question in a long-winded way, no, I haven't met a lot of famous people from this yet. But it's really interesting because there are so many freaking talented people who submit to these festivals and like whose work gets played. And sometimes you watch something and you're like, God fucking damn it. Like I can see you being on par with so-and-so, you know what I mean? Like, so it's really awesome in that respect for a lot of up and coming people to get seen, as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nah, that's awesome, man. That's friggin' awesome. So let's dive into horror movies now. So like, how did you get into horror?
Oh man. I got spooked really young and I was like, ooh, that's spooky. And then I was like, ooh, I kind of like it.
Yeah. Yeah. See, like for me, it was music though. It was Kiss and
Funny.
Alice Cooper that did it for me. It's like the theatrics. It's like the way how they looked. It's what they did on stage. What was really fucking scary at the time when you were a kid, because like you didn't really see anything like that. Because I grew up on 70s and 80s rock music from my dad, and but like just like I remember seeing I think it was I Was Made for Loving You. It's a bunch of but like even though it's a freaking disco song, it's just the way how they dressed and was like, who are these guys? Like, what the fuck? And then I remember watching Alice Cooper's, I think it was Nightmare Returns TV special thing. And that freaked me out with all like the theatrics and monsters on stage. And that's how that got me into that type of thing. But then obviously I discovered Screen, and then the rest is history, I guess.
Well, I think it's so funny. I think music and horror go together really well. It's so fun in that respect. But for me, so my dad was a no holds barred man. So when I say that, he made no apologies about exposing my brother and I to things very young. And
I love that.
I remember I must have been about 5 or 6. I was at my dad's house. My parents divorced when I was 3. So I was at my dad's house for visitation. Sounds like a jail punishment, but like it's not. Maybe it's him, who knows? We can ask him later. But I'm over at his place. My brother's a few years older than me, so he's allowed to watch things that my dad, I guess, has the common sense sometimes to be like, ooh, she should not watch this yet. Go to bed. And so I go to bed. And I hear them watching something, and I come down sleepy-eyed, and I'm like, what's going on? And I see the part in Jaws, the part in Jaws where the scuba diver has gone into the boat that has been taken down by Jaws in the first Jaws, and the head comes out. And you see like the wormy things coming out of him, and the scuba diver freaks out and goes back up because the dude's dead. And so I come down and I'm like, what's going on? That's what I see on TV. My dad's like, go to bed. And I was like, no. What is this that I'm seeing on television right now? And and that's kind of like what started it. And then my dad, again, being a non-apologist for like exposing me to things very young, like introduced me to like all of that stuff. So my mom didn't really watch a lot of horror. She was much more into mystery, things like that. My dad was very much into Lord of the Rings, very fantastical things like and sci-fi, all of this stuff. So he started exposing me to more and more things outside of comedy. And I remember very distinctly watching The Exorcist, and I was 10 years old now at this point. Another trauma. And I'm watching it with him, and I'm like, what's going on in this movie? Like, this is pretty heavy. Like Regan
just
being
a little bit.
Yeah, just a wee bit. Just a wee bit heavy. It's here or there. But yeah, no, my dad, so he's got it on. And I think at one point I distinctly remember him saying, like, no, this actually happened. Like, this is a real person. This is a remake. This movie is telling the story of somebody like this. And so I remember like full fucking panic inside going, oh my God, this girl is actually possessed. This could happen to a real person in this exact way. And he was fucking with me because that's what my dad does. But then later, I found a Ouija board in the basement, which is what Regan finds, thus leading her to Captain Howdy. And I was like, oh, fuck this shit. I'm never going in the basement again. I'm never doing this again. Cut off. So, but the bottom line was all of that kind of led me to more of this downward exploration. My brother and I used to rent like Night of the Living Dead. We'd rent scary movies. He was more easily spooked out than I was. I would scare him a lot. I just enjoyed doing that. I'd get punched in the arm for that. And then these kids do. And I remember also watching Night of the Living Dead, the original. And we were living on a farm at the time. And it was a clear night. And you could see with the moonlight all the way down on the property line into the cornfield. And all I could think was, we're watching this movie, Night of the Living Dead from the 1950s. And I'm like, oh my God, if there's a zombie attack, they could literally just fucking walk through the goddamn cornfield, and they are going to come to this house, because for us to get on a bike, to bike our way to a friend's house is a minimum A minimum. It couldn't be more desolate if you tried. And we're stuck in the middle of nowhere. So now I'm watching this movie going, holy Christ, I'm like, we could be the next victim of this thing. Anyway, my brain goes to these places and I love that. But I didn't really connect the two dots like you did, where it was like, I see theatrical like makeup and this presentation that people will give as creative people, and like attribute it to the fear. I was like the experience of all of this and like the placement of these things initially. But then I started watching as like, again, because it's like a wine connoisseur, I'm guessing, or like somebody who likes cheese and like likes to talk about it. Like with horror, there's an endless palette for us to choose from. And so as I started getting more refined with like my experiences and like trying all of the different flavors of horror that exist in the world out, one of the ones that I landed on was The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari. And I was like, fuck, I love German Expressionism. This is really cool. Why do I love this so much? And it's because it's so, what you're saying, theatrical.
Yeah.
Everything about it is like the makeup, the charisma, the full like embodiment and commitment to this thing that could be absolutely fucking terrifying, and like no wavering on that. Like they double down on this, and I love it. So yeah, so I guess that's kind of what got me into it, and then it's just never stopped.
Yeah. So yeah, like what I was saying to that kind of like Alice Cooper, and that got me into like horror, is because like it's his stage antics. Like he hangs himself on stage, like which he almost died from on stage, like in the 70s, I think it was. And then like the gallows, like the guillotine, not the gallows, the guillotine. Sorry, when he chops his head. Like when I was a kid, man, I'll be like so hooked into that. I'll be like, how the fuck do they not like? How do they time this? So like apparently as soon as the blade hits like this much into your head, the bottom end falls down.
Oh wow.
You got to look into it really, really closely. It's crazy.
But that's the thing. It's like, you know, it's the same with
and it's a real blade too, by the way.
Yeah. But like Ozzy Osbourne, like remember, like for a long time people would say, oh, he bites the heads off of bats, and like, you know, like rips the heads off of bats with his teeth and like drinks their blood and stuff. Like the whole theatric of it, the presentation of it is just incredible, which is why I like metal too. You know, and like a lot of different genres of music, because they play with that theatrical aspect of it. It's not just my, you know, like there's a place for this as well, but like I'm wearing like sequins and you can see my legs or you can see my tits or whatever. It's no, this is like a fucking huge spectacle. Like you're going through a whorehouse with them as they present their music on stage, and there's something really incredible about that. It's really fun. Absolutely. I'm with you on that.
Yeah. The other thing too, when you were saying about Ozzy Osbourne, there was like a legend about that. Another funny story about Alice Cooper as well. He someone, I think it was in Detroit in the 70s, someone threw a live chicken. I don't know if you heard the story about that, but someone and then he didn't know he didn't know what the fuck to do with it, because like in Detroit or wherever, like I had no fucking chicken. So he brought the fucking chicken to the stage. So he threw it and everyone in the crowd ripped it apart. And it was like all over the headlines saying that he killed a chicken on stage. Anything to do on with like, you know, what the media can throw at him to cancel him, but it just made him more famous, dude. Like, come on.
And that's what I found. Like, it's the same, like, you know, people like Rob Zombie too. Like, I was listening. There's another episode that you were talking about where you were talking about Rob Zombie and like obviously his films, but like
transition. Oh yeah, it would have been the Halloween ranking.
Yep, but like transitioning from music into film. The thing is, like, if you look at all of his like music videos and stuff too, like stylistically, like they're so fucking fun. Like you're on a goddamn with him every
That's
time.
What I love about him, man. He's a very creative person, but he gets so much shit for his movies. But try doing it in his shoes, man, because it's not fucking easy.
No. When you create anything, the fact that it gets done, like one of the things that a lot of people will talk about as creatives, the fact that you do something beginning to end, that's a fucking achievement. You know, it's easy to sit in the armchair and criticize what creative people do when we ourselves are not the ones creating, right? Like the idea, it would be like saying like watching a sport. Let's just use javelin throwing as this example. It's easy to watch a javelin thrower throw their fucking javelin and be like, oh God, you know, how the fuck did you miss that? And you're like, oh, well, you know, are you the one who trained for, you know, fucking years to hold the javelin? Did you spend every goddamn day of your life eating and breathing and living in this sport just to fuck it up one day, one time? The one time that people see you do the fuck up or the minor fuck up that a person has along the way. It's so easy to sit back and look at another person's thing and say, oh, you really like, you done that wrong. But then it's another thing to try and do it yourself. So, you know, I think it's important to view anything that we see other people doing through the lens of appreciation, respect, and gratitude. It doesn't matter what a person is doing, because the fact that people wake up every day and do the thing that they do specifically is something that we should honor. I don't care what you do. If it's IT, if it's neuroscience, if it's, you know, like going to the moon, if it's somebody who takes a million orders and can remember a million numbers. There's something about each person that is special and important and worth appreciating and having a lot of gratitude for, rather than criticizing. But we're trained by society to criticize first.
Yeah, there's always going to be that one arsehole that needs to say something smart, but I won't say it to their face.
Truly, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I've had one person saying to me that, oh, you should stop doing podcasting and get a real job. I'm like, I have a real job. You fucking idiot.
Yeah,
I've been a chef for 15 years. Fuck off.
Yeah. Thanks for your feedback, but go fuck yourself.
Yeah, what do you do? Still live with your mom or something? Like, fuck off, man. Like,
and also, actually, so here's something I would like to say on that.
Yeah, go for it.
Having listened to your podcast so far and listening through other episodes, I would encourage you to continue doing this. And here's why. I think you are an incredible interviewer. I think you are a very selfless individual. And I think you are fun. I think you keep momentum alive. Podcasting is a very difficult thing to do. And I think you have a way of interacting with people that makes them feel comfortable. You know, I have a lot of social anxiety. And so speaking to you initially, I was like, fuck. But then I'm talking to you and I feel safe, like I'm talking to somebody I've known for a really long time. So you have the ability to draw people in just based off of your energy. So I want to commend you for what you do. I think it's an honor to be sitting with you right now. And anyone who has anything to say can fuck themselves.
Yeah, exactly right. Exactly right. Well, I got like 2 more questions.
Totally.
to ask you. So I could talk to you for hours now. What are your views? What's your views on horror remakes now? Like rebooting franchises and all that type of things. What are your views on that?
Well, I don't have a problem with it.
Mm.
And it depends on the film.
Yeah.
So the caveat of that is it depends on the film.
Yeah.
Like if you gave me, and just give me 1 second, I have to grab my phone really quick.
No, you're right.
If you give me an example, like of a remake that you had in mind, for example, I can tell you, I can be a bit more specific.
I really enjoyed Rob Zombie's Halloween.
Yeah, I thought it was a really good take on. It was a really different style of Michael.
Oh yeah,
you know, and I really appreciate that personally. Again, I think about it from like a directing standpoint and like a mood, and he really like made a fucking mood in that.
Oh yeah,
you know,
it's like what me and my mate Corey Thomas that did the Halloween ranking.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. We were saying that it's completely different storylines from the original and the reboot. The original is more focused on Laurie, obviously, and obviously getting stalked by a masked killer. Rob Zombie's version tells a whole backstory of Michael Myers, which is pretty fucking awesome to be in, like, you know, and there's blood, obviously. Then the original, there's a very minimum. There's a lot of jump scares, because to me, that's the reason why I called Halloween is more of a psychological thriller more than a slasher.
100%. I do not consider it a slasher. I consider it a psychological horror, because the absence of sound, especially like one of my favorite parts of the movie is she thinks everything's fine. She's hunched over at the end, you know, she's heaving, she's stabbed him, she thinks everything's down. And then she's sitting there like in this moment trying to like recenter herself, like really fucking traumatized. And then you just see him sit up with no sound. And he's just fucking there.
Yeah. It's scary as shit too.
It's lurking, and the tone of the film has like 3 to 4 notes, you know, like in terms of like the music. It's very simple. It's the story of a serial killer, like a stalker. This isn't just somebody who's going on random excursions killing people. Like, it's methodical. There is an intent behind it. So when you see Rob Zombie's remake of it, and you do see the gore, but also like, again, like the way he shot it, the way it's lit, it's very dark. You go from Michael Myers in the 1970s, where it's still daytime in some of the shots, stalking people, to Rob Zombies, which thematically is a lot darker,
aged.
Yes. And like you said, you go into this backstory of Michael, which is the psychology of how did he get where he got. And that's how they did Nightmare on Elm Street when they remade Nightmare on Elm Street. I don't know if you remember that.
Oh, yeah, that was horrible.
Yeah. Well, but so to that point, though, the one thing that I did take away from that was, like when you see the original Nightmare on Elm Street, it implied that this person might not have been great with kids, right?
Yeah.
Like a bad man, so to speak. But then in the remake, the entire story is, no, he was a bad fucking person. Look at all the evidence of all of the shit that he did. So it's much more focused on him and the fact that the town came together to like burn this man alive, and destroy him. Right? You find out so much more from that. So I like the story of like telling that. It depends on the remake though. Like I said, I'm really picky on that. Yes.
I'm the same as well. I had Ari Lehman from Friday the 13th on here. Yes. And I was saying to him that when I first watched the reboot, I hated it because to me, why? But then the more you watch it, you like it. But then after watching the original first, and then watching the second one and watching the reboot kind of fills in the first Friday the 13th and the second one built into one movie. Because in the opening scene, for about maybe 3 or 4 minutes of the opening scene, it shows you his mum.
Yeah.
And then obviously she dies, and it cuts into the movie. So yeah, the more I watch that movie, I like it. And probably one of my other favorite reboots as well was Texas Chainsaw Massacre with Jessica Biel.
Yeah,
that was amazing. I got my brother to buy me that. I got my brother to buy me that on DVD because I wasn't old enough to get it, so he got it for me.
I love that,
and it freaked me out.
It was really well done. The sweat, seeing the sweat on their bodies, the heat, the stink, like it's very visceral. The first one, you get all of that when you're in the house with them, but this remake of it, you really like from the beginning, like, this is going to sound really pretentious maybe, but like when you think back to some of the establishing shots of them in the vehicle, they're already sweating, but the sweat that they have is like that sexual pheromone sweat. So it's like the heat's there, but the heat is more, like my skin's a bit sticky. I feel like gross, but like I don't smell bad. We're on a road trip. It's like there's like a lot of tension in this air between us. It's like a really positive thing. Like it's manageable. It's bearable.
Yeah.
Later as the movie progresses, and I don't know if it was a stylistic choice or not, and if it was intentional, but you do see that transition of, oh, there's sweat here, and there's like stuff going on here, but this is a heat. This is like an inescapable like stench that you're fucking living in that with Jessica Biel when she's in the slaughterhouse. You're living in it with her when she's in the house. You can see it. You can hear it. You can smell it. The olfactory is there. And I think it's I think it's a very visceral film for that reason.
Oh yeah, 100%. And then Texas Chainsaw 2 was more of like comedy horror a bit, and then after that, it all just went from there, just downhill from there.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's the problem with trying to make a good franchise in a horror genre, is like keeping to the storyline.
Yeah.
It's very hard to like look at Halloween's the worst for that. As much as I love Halloween,
no,
like it was meant to end after the second.
Yeah, it goes off the rails.
But it's a cash grab thing, and it's like that with every other reboots and remakes. Exactly. Let's finish off with top 5 horror films.
I am not your girl for top favorites of anything, but here's what I did. Because I came prepared and baby takes notes. What I did do was I put together a list of films that I would like, that I really enjoy, because I love a lot of horror. So some really lovely ones that I can name off. I don't know if you ever saw the French horror film called Inside. That's the English name of it. It's called À l'intérieur. The French name of it. I'm butchering that a little bit, but it's the inside, essentially, is what that translates to. It's about a woman who's pregnant and she's protecting the baby. I'll leave it at that. It's a phenomenal film if you have not seen it. Raw, which is a French horror film, is a great horror film. I thought that was really cool. I thought that was really wonderful. There is a movie that was made for the Cornish Commission, like out of the Republic of in Cornwall, in England, or Wales, I should say. And they made a movie called Bait, and it is not a long, it was shot on 16 millimeter film, which is, again, like, this is where I nerd out. Shot on 16 mil. It's black and white, and it's very sensory as a horror film, and it's so fucking cool and really well done. So I highly recommend Bait. If you haven't seen the movie His House, it is a movie that is South African and English. It takes place in England, but the main cast is South African, and the storyline follows that. That's a fucking great horror film. That movie, during the day, I watched it, and I was like, ooh, I'm glad I watched it.
Yeah.
One of the Australian films that I really liked was The Loved Ones.
Okay.
That's a great film. That's a very like gory, cool horror film. Yeah, I mean, Relic is a fantastic horror film. If you haven't seen that one's really cool.
A very long time ago, yeah.
Yeah, that one's a really neat one. There's this folk horror film that I saw, and I can't remember the goddamn name of it. I was trying to look it up for you. But it's a folk horror film that takes place back in like the 16 or 1700s. Yeah. And it has to do with like I'm going to find out the name of it and send it to you. But essentially it's like the poster of it is a woman's back is sewn at the top. And I'm like, oh my God, it's so upsetting, but it's a beautiful film. In terms of like some of the classics or like more well-known ones, and there's an Irish film called You Are Not My Mother. I don't know if you've seen that. That's a great one as well. You Won't Be Alone, I believe, is I can't remember, Danish or Finnish maybe, but that's a cool one. I like all different, I like foreign films a lot. I like to support a lot of different backgrounds, but classically, The Omen is up there as a top. Huge fan of The Omen.
Did you see the prequel?
Did I see
the first Omen?
I don't know.
It's actually pretty good. It's on Disney Plus, but
okay, then I'll have to watch it. The Hereditary, The Witch. These are great movies. Obviously, Nightmare on Elm Street, Conjuring, the first one, Insidious, Ju-on, the original Ju-on,
The Ring,
The Grudge, and
The Grudge.
Ringu.
Sorry, yeah.
Yeah, The Ringu and Ring, like Wicker Man from the 70s. I really loved Wicker Man. Pan's Labyrinth, which is very sad, obviously, but also like the playful, like the sci-fi aspects. Devil's Backbone. Talk to Me was a fantastic film.
Oh yeah, same.
Babadook, obviously. Night of the Living Dead, Dawn of the Dead. I'll never stop talking about movies that are. Also,
I can name you some of mine.
Yes, please. I would love to know. Yes.
Yeah. So it's probably like some of my top favorite movies though would have to be A House of a Thousand Corpses.
Amazing.
That movie should be a friggin' Broadway musical, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I really love the Saw film. There's a Broadway musical of that as well. No, there is. I'll find it and I'll tag you in it.
Yeah, please.
The very first Saw film, very psychological mindfuck of a movie. Even though it's gore porn or torture porn, I would say. Then I'll probably throw in Midsummer.
I loved Midsummer, especially
that
when
fucked me up.
Oh my god, the scene where like it cuts to her sister and the beginning sequences. That whole thing, I love it. Loved it.
Yeah,
oh my god, so good.
And when that old couple jumped off from the cliff and they did like a zoom in shot of their friggin' head, I'm like,
yes,
man.
And he lands on his leg and stuff too.
Yeah,
just like, so good.
The Substance is really good too. I really love that. That was a friggin' amazing body horror film.
And it's so fun. It was so
fun.
It is. Take itself too seriously.
Army of Darkness.
Oh my god, yeah. Ash.
Yeah. Army of Darkness, Evil Dead Rise, and I'll probably go with Scream because that's what got me into horror.
God, Scream's such a fantastic. God, I fucking love that movie. I love it every time I see it. The Craft, Scream, and I Know What You Did Last Summer. I eat them for like I could eat them all day long. I'm with you on that. What a fantastic fucking movie. Good choice. Fantastic choice.
Yeah. Even like The Strangers, that still scares me to this day because those movies are real. Home invasions are real. You know.
Do you like Funny Games? Have you seen Funny Games?
Bits of it, yeah. I've seen like bits.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
You'd like that.
Is that they rebooted that, correct?
They did, but watch the German version of it.
Is that more disturbing?
Yes.
Oh, it's all foreign films are. But
that's
like
you and I gravitate towards them.
Yeah. Like I've seen the ending to the reboot, and that was pretty wild. How they were both tied up and they just get thrown into the friggin' water. Well, I think it was just her that gets tied up and gets thrown into the water and shit. But you and I can just talk about this all fucking day. Even like even the reboot of It was friggin' awesome too. A lot of people didn't like it, but it was fucking freaky as shit.
And I'm gonna say this right now, it's fucking fun. The original was made. Penny.
He's got a mustache.
Oh, he does. What a good guy. Oh shit! I'm blaming. I love that. If I leave this out, I'm going to be so fucking mad. Oh, look at him in disguise. Silence of the Lambs.
Oh yeah.
we have to pay, like really acknowledge that. I'll walk over there. I'll send you a picture afterwards. I have a picture. I'll send you a picture of it, but I have a pin, an enamel pin with a basket with lotion in it. And like, I do the whole, like, put the lotion in the fucking basket, the whole thing. Like I do that whole thing on a regular basis. And I have a shirt that says Buffalo Bills Lotion Company since established in 1981.
I love that.
And The Shining, if I don't talk about The Shining, I'm going to be upset. I don't care if Stephen King liked it or not. It was really well done.
And Dr. Sleep.
I have that on my list. Dr. Sleep is an incredible film. I also loved Cujo and Carrie by Brian De Palma. the book is insatiable, but the movie, De Palma did a fucking fantastic job of that movie and taking her story. I really, really love it. I'm a huge Stephen King nerd as well, so I like reading them and being spooked out. Definitely one of the worst ones to be scared by is It, though, with Pennywise. Like reading that book, fuck that before bed. Do not read.
It's a very disturbing book to read because there's a lot of graphic stuff in that book.
Yes, absolutely. So I'm going to ask you something before we wrap up, though. I need to ask you. You said you're a chef.
Yes.
That's fucking phenomenal.
What's a bit of a love-hate? I've been doing it for too long. I want to get out of it, but I don't want to go and study because it's like so fucking expensive, and I don't want to like spend another 2 years of like learning something new again and type of things like that. It's just I can get very impatient sometimes.
Yeah.
When it comes to like learning stuff, like I just wanted to do it straight away, but yeah.
Oh man. Well,
but yeah, I love cooking at home, but like just working in the kitchen for long hours, depending who you're working with, but it's just like the assholes that you serve, man.
Yep. Yeah. Well, and so I actually studied chef training as well.
Oh shit.
And yeah, and I can say definitely from my experience of having worked in that world too, because I worked as a pastry chef part-time before I was doing everything that I'm doing, and then I also worked in the kitchen environment, like I said, studying chef training, and even in that environment I was like, fuck no, like this is so it is an incredibly hard job to do what you do, and that's why I wanted to ask you about it, because I also want to point out how incredible I think it is that you do that and that you spend your time doing that. And I know it can be very thankless, but I'm grateful for you. I think you're so incredible.
Thank you.
And you're so talented, and don't stop doing if podcasting and like, you know, speaking about music and speaking about horror is what you love. I'm here to fucking like, I've got your back on that. Like, you just keep going with this, because this is, you know, I couldn't feel more at home talking to you. I think you're an incredible guy. So.
Wow, thank you. We need to cross paths one day and hang out and drink coffee and talk fucking horror movies for hours.
I would love that. Absolutely.
Yeah, one day. Fingers crossed. Yep. Fingers crossed. Well, I'm like 52 episodes in, so obviously I'm doing something right. Most new podcasters won't last after 12 episodes, and they do something new. They start a new podcast. They start, you know, they start again and start doing something different. Like, you gotta stick to it, man. You gotta have beliefs in yourself. It's gonna be hard. It's gonna be, you're gonna get rejection sometimes. Some people won't reply back. It's the way it is, you know. And I've learned that from I learned this from my year and a half of doing podcasting on this. But I've been doing podcasting for a very long time as a guest and co-host. So,
well, again, there's a natural ease that you have with it, and I just want to say that like it comes out when I'm talking to you. You just have that effortless nature of like interviewing and speaking with people where it feels like you're landing home. And I have other friends who do podcasting as well. I have one friend who does it really well. And it feels the same way when you're talking to somebody like him, and you feel the difference between talking to people who actually like engage and are very present and thoughtful and real. And so again, I'm like, it's an honor to be here with you and spend time with you and share time with you and to know you more. And I just hope that there's years to come of getting to know you more.
Oh, too easy. Well, we're on Instagram, we're on Facebook now, so there you go.
Yeah,
you know, appreciate that for real. So hopefully we'll get to see some more new short film horror films from you, or even maybe like a full-length horror. Who knows? You know,
Thank you.
where would lead you to that?
I have
And
some ideas that I'm working on. So
yeah, looking forward to it. Or even just show me some of your ideas, and I can probably put some input into it or something like that.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love that.
Yeah, too easy. Well, too easy. Well, Jaclyn or Jackie, whatever you like to be called. Thank you for hanging out. I'll put all the details in the descriptions box when this comes up, and I'll tag you in it and stuff so you can share it and spread the love around, man. Because hating people is shit. But anyway, guys. Yeah, so yeah, don't forget to follow her on all social medias and follow me as well for cool shit, I guess. But yeah, until next time, guys, stay real and be awesome and stay spooky. Let's hit this. Right. And wait.